So let's start, Jens. Welcome and great that you're here with us.
Hello, Thomas. Thanks for being here.
We
Thanks
cannot hear you,
for
Jens.
being here with the audience.
We
You
can hear.
cannot
Yes, we
hear
can
me?
hear.
You can hear me. Okay, perfect. Hello,
Yeah.
welcome, Thomas. Thanks for being here. And yeah, it's untypical for me because I'm CEO of a mid-sized company, small and mid-sized company in southern Germany, a classical Tier Mittelständler. And compared to the four speakers or the next speaker, we are a very small corporation.
No,
Yeah.
but wait, we have you here, Jens, because you're, first of all, a great entrepreneur. Yeah, you're third generation entrepreneur, textile company, and you know where the area where you come from. There used to be a big textile industry, and it's mostly gone. But only those are left which are really innovative, really clever, have clever ideas. And being the third generation, you really brought the company really forward. The other part that you're very active also on is you like to work with startups. You've been involved with startups. You've invested in startups. Obviously linking to your business, but also knowing that they might be disrupting you. So a very vigilant way, looking forward way to go forward. That's why we have you here today. And obviously, as a textile supplier, technical textile supplier for the automotive industry, and in particular also you're supplying to a very fast electric car that is manufactured in Germany. So that's why we thought it's nice to have you here on board. So welcome.
Thank you very much for your invitation. Yeah, there are many parallels to startups for our company as well, because our industry is disrupted a lot during the last decades. Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, let's start at first. We have a video of yours. Do we have the video? Are we not going to start the video? If not, we're going to start like this. In your own words, tell us a little bit what your company does, what products that you have, and what you deliver to your customers as a tier 2 supplier.
Okay. Yeah, as I already told, we're a technical textile company, and that means we are not producing textiles at all, more or less. We are developing solutions for our clients, and these solutions we create out of the combination of coatings and flexible linear materials like artificial leather or textiles. We ourselves indeed do not produce any linear meter of textiles. There we have our sub-supplier and the network, because the textile industry who survived, specialized, and developed forward in niche products, and we have a great network where we are selecting out the textiles. We are combining them with coatings, and with these coatings you can create processes. For example, in the automotive industry, I got an example with me, a part of an IP topper, which is wrapped indeed with artificial vegan leather, more or less, and with a very new process. So here we have a microwave process created, and it only works because of our developed product, which is the backside coating, and the customer saves up to 40% of his process time. So it's a little bit difficult to explain what we are doing. We have the textile knowledge. We are coming from textile industry, but we are not textile indeed, because we develop every day a step further. Yeah, we have two brands, and one brand is Meiser Know-how in Textiles, where we operate as well a classic dye house for the upmarket lingerie industry. But our main business today is not my technical textiles with these coating things you see as well behind me.
Yeah, I mean, for my opinion, what makes an innovator, of course, has good products, develops new products, is very innovative, but also, in particular, in your case, also very innovative about the processes. The process is as important as the product itself. And certainly, what I've observed is you also, as very innovative and fast, you had a very big tragedy a few years ago, a big fire, and you managed to handle everything, the production to go on. You were just 1 month down. It was unbelievable what you did at the time. So the flexibility and to be innovative in all the processes, and even in an emergency situation, that's what makes a true entrepreneur. So let's go to the next question. I mean, we talked about the car industry, and you saw that we spoke about the major transition that we see in the industry, and it's affecting obviously the big OEMs. But in this chain connection, it also affects obviously the tier 1s, the tier 2s in the chain. And how do you react to that? What do you have to do? I mean, they want sustainable materials, and of course, it's also your idea to do that. As resilient supply chains, how do you change your company, and how do you actually take your employees to follow you and to follow suit, and to get this transition done, to get the mindset done? We talked about earlier about the legacy mindsets, that you kind of get away from that and go forward.
These are many points you're questioning, but one important point, one huge point is what I have to say. This production industry we are in is not a very sustainable industry. Globally seen, it's a very dirty industry. Indeed, we produce up to 20% of the heavy treated wastewater, which has to be cleaned up globally seen. But on the other hand, this is a huge chance, because what we are doing when we optimize process and get more sustainable, this has a huge impact. Sustainability faces us in different aspects, in our products for sure, in our process, and we have different, we developed different scenarios to cope with them. On the product side, we think it's very important to think of your product itself, the solution for your customer. And we came to the solution for future. It will be very important to have mono materials. That means when I talk of an artificial leather, for example, that it's not out of different plastic systems. Then a next point or a next answer we found are recycled materials for sure. So if you have a reuse cycle, you're using primary raw materials longer, then it has a huge impact itself, because when you're using double time, you have only 50% of impact. Then you have to use alternative materials, and we see there's as well an industry, but it's more or less a startup industry, which is creating new alternative materials. Like banana tags, for example, it's kind of paper which is created of banana fiber. It's looking like a textile, and in future we will see it as well in cars or other textile usage case. And then the process, new process, as I former already told, like microwave wrapping, who saves energy, process time. These are the steps on the product side. On the other side, for us, in our production case, where we are after development, we create a solution for a customer. Our target is to produce a real product, and we have to adapt a machine, for example, for it, or to invent a machine for it. There, we can start thinking of the impact at the very beginning scenario or at the very beginning stage, and then we can save resources. In our own case, this means we are using a lot of energy, but we are monitoring what we are using as energy and what emissions we have. We are already doing it since 2009, for example, our CO2 emission monitoring. From this monitoring, we started to take decisions to reduce emissions, etc. Today, we cut them to up to 70% to 1/3 with the double output compared to the beginning in 2009. We are using renewable energy from electric side for sure. And today as well, I had the pleasure to launch a product. We started first time in our history to compensate CO2 emissions. And we committed to compensate per year 15% at the beginning, 15% at the beginning of our emissions with farmers here locally. So we do not buy trees somewhere around the globe. We're doing something here, and they change their way of farming, and so they catch more or less more CO2, and there's a evidential proof that it's working, and so we're doing things like these. Yeah, so it has a huge impact on us, and every day we're thinking on it. But you as well asked me a question about resilient supply chains, which is as well a huge topic at the moment. We are focused. Our customers, what they want to have from us, it's a good solution, I already told, a good product, but they want to rely on us as well. And in the past, our business success was or is to have these just-in-time production as well in these chemical processes we have. You have to imagine we as a larger company in the small mid-sized industry, we are producing several thousand products per year, but we do not store them. Only if a customer is ordering it, we buy in, we purchase in the raw materials, the raw chemicals, and it was our know-how to do this in a very fast way to have a kind of one-piece flow. And when Corona started 1.5 years ago, our first thought was, okay, be careful of the supply chains. And we started even more to manage our supply chains. And the supply chain is for us a partnership. And we came through this 1.5 years very good. But since now 2 months or so, it gets crazy. But probably you all feel this as well. And it's getting more challenging. Yeah, our answer is to work closer with our suppliers. Yeah.
Yeah, you see the material shortages that we see all over in the market. Yeah. You mentioned resources. I mean, that's a really big topic, and especially in the textile industry, there's a lot of use of resources, water, and everything. That's why you invested in a company, I think, in a company called Pili in Toulouse, that is exactly producing dyes out of fermentation. And if this is really going through, I mean, you're really going to help your industry to become cleaner, more sustainable, and even resilient. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. You
Talking about, go ahead.
No, sorry.
Talking about startup, I mean, as you've been investing in startups and you've been working with startups together, what effect has it have on your own company? Did you use the processes? Do you see changes? Have you learned something from them and implemented? Because I mean, you are a third generation Swabian company, right? So they're normally very conservative and everything. How do you implement that in your company?
Yeah, to being conservative is on the one hand good, but on the other hand, it makes you slow more or less. And we came to a point where we found, or I have to say, no, for years we thought we were very innovative, very fast, etc. And when we grew in the past, we got more bureaucratic, slower. We had process descriptions, etc. And then we came to a point, hey, there should be another way. And for me personally, always in my life, it was a pleasure to meet entrepreneurs, to listen to older entrepreneurs who made their experience, but as well to meet guys like you as well from Creatize, who are convinced that they can walk through fire, and this project, what they have in mind, will work in the end. And suddenly we started to cooperate with startups. The intention was behind it that because we are getting slower and slower, we have to learn from other companies. And I think it's a win-win situation to learn from a startup on the one hand, to be more executive, to be faster, to take decisions, but on the other hand, to give them as well an insight by cooperating. How is operation going on in a more matured company? And this is a very good mixture. And there was a start, more or less by luck. And then we improved it and we started to invest in startups. And even today, we have a very small VC company as well. Yeah. And we think for us, most of the startup investments or as well corporations are important in our industry because we understand this industry. We can support them, but then they can as well support us to change things where we are not able to do it on our own.
Perfect. Jens, we have a question actually from the audience, actually from Spain. And he's asking if you invest in your own PV system in your company and you have had benefits that you could even show to your customers having invested in your own PV system.
Okay. How could I say this? Could you repeat the question? On what detail you would go on?
He asks if you have invested in your own PV system, photovoltaic system on your building,
Okay.
And if you could use that as an advantage or like a competitive advantage for your customers.
Okay. Yeah, we can use this as an advantage, but you have to imagine we are on a production stage where we consume a lot of energy. We have at the moment 2/3 of our roofs covered with PV system. This makes only 1.8% of the electric demand or need we have per year. But it is a future topic as well to produce electric energy by PVs on other land, on other areas, and to build up there your own energy producing facilities to have your own electricity. Because you're asking this question from Spain. I think here we in Germany we have a huge problem with the electric net more or less, or we occur more and more problems, and this will help in future.
I remember on your old company before it burned down, you had this parabolic system. It was so revolutionary. I mean, it was good. It didn't bring the energy that you needed, but it was really cool. And you tested it working with another entrepreneur together. So you tried it out. If it doesn't work, well, now it burned away, so it's gone anyway. But it was a good try at the time. Jens, you have one last question, if it's okay, because it's you're in an environment, especially we have all the OEMs in the vicinity where you work, and you need good engineers to have very fast product development and to go forward. How do you compete against them? How do you get these good engineers, good developers, the product developers into your company? What is the advantage of what you offer them compared to big corporates?
You have to show that you're burning for a topic. And by doing this by heart, we heard it before, the Herzblut more or less, this is like a virus which spreads out in the team. It's get more and more difficult because, as I told, we are growing. And I had to learn to talk about for what I am burning, what is our DNA. And I think this is one of the most important things to say what you're thinking, what your goals are, for what you stand. And this makes reliability. And in our case, this attracts even person or people, colleagues, team, which are coming from big corporates, which found here an executing working place where they can be creative.
Cool. Excellent. Thank you very much. I heard we have a video. the producer just told me that we have video views. We wanted to show in the beginning. Now we show at the end. So Jens, thank you very much. We really enjoyed the session with you, and really looking forward to seeing you soon again. Huh?
Thank you very much.
Bye,
You
Jens.
too.
Bye.
Bye.
So now let's see the company video from them.